Remember when I spoke about the cult classic Rock and Roll Nightmare? I didn't spoil much and encouraged everyone to seek out the film and watch it for themselves. Well, there's a sequel to that film, and now I have to spoil it, along with the sequel. So if you're still interested in witnessing one of the best twist endings in cinema history, pause this video, go watch Rock and Roll Nightmare, and then come back and watch this one. Or just keep watching this, I guess it ultimately doesn't matter. If you're still listening, then I assume you either know the ending of the first film, or just don't care. The first film revolves around a band recording some music at an isolated farmhouse. However, the band is plagued by something horrible, goofy-looking puppets. Actually, these are evil spirits or demons that turn the band members into demons as well. There's only one thing standing in the way of Beelzebub and world domination: the hunk of a man named John Triton. Here's the twist. John is actually an archangel known as the Intercessor. Hey, that's the name of the sequel. Anyway, Intercessor fights Beelzebub in the most epic battle ever. And I do need a citation for my own statement here. And Intercessor saves the day, forcing the forces of evil out of Earth. Well, at least until the sequel-baiting ending. Okay, that's enough about Rock and Roll Nightmare. Let's talk about the sequel, Intercessor, another Rock and Roll Nightmare. Actually, wait, no, I take that back. I'd rather talk about the first movie some more. Unlike Rock and Roll Nightmare, Intercessor was only produced by John Michael Thor, although it was Thor's idea. Intercessor was directed by Ben Maguire and Jacob Windat, and was written by Chris Allen and also Jacob Windat. The story of Intercessor takes place 20 years after the events of Rock and Roll Nightmare. Apparently, John Triton is just wandering around, seeking the truth of his forgotten past. New baddies decide it's time to start feuding. Hyp3r, the Lord of the Undead, and Mephisto, a dark sorcerer from the depths of hell. A spell allows them entry onto Earth, and all hell breaks loose. People become possessed, and both want to devour the souls of the innocent. A young girl named Laura is targeted, as she is the epitome of innocence. Mephisto sends the 4 horsemen and the 4 elemental demonesses to corrupt her in her dream world. Hyp3r, on the other hand, sends a gaggle of undead ghouls after a person named Julie. Okay, that's enough regurgitating the back of the box. Honestly, I had a lot of trouble sitting down to watch this movie. It's bad. Like Thanksgiving 3 quality bad. Although there is more of a plot in Intercessor, it just doesn't make a lot of sense, and everything about it is terrible. The practical effects are gone. The costumes are cheap looking, the quality is weird, the audio is janky, and the acting is downright horrible. At least the soundtrack is pretty good. Anyway, Intercessor first focuses on a character named Harold, or Harry, who is a whiny would-be comic book artist. He lives with his aunt, and she treats him like crap. He's physically challenged, but his aunt expects him to do everything in the house. His mother died, and the aunt watches him and his brother, well, before his brother shot himself anyway. He internalizes the abuse that he gets. Julie, one of the targets of the evil Hyp3r, is Harry's neighbor, and she seems to like him. They're honestly just good friends, but I assume that there's supposed to be something more there. Harry is mad though because the two of them stopped hanging out as much as they used to. She offers to come visit Harry after he had a rough afternoon. The comic that Harry's working on is basically a projection of what he wants his life to be like, a hero that gets the babe at the end. He tries to base this hero on the Intercessor, a badass hero that fights the forces of evil. You know, I kind of wonder what the real Intercessor is up to. Well, thankfully the movie goes right into that as soon as it's introduced in comic book form. Viewers are treated to a random scene of a guy going into a diner. Then it goes to a bunch of LARPers, then back to the diner. A patron at the diner starts causing trouble, and the random fella in glasses beats the crap out of him. He doesn't have a name, at least that's what he says. It's John Triton though, spoilers. Anyway, the movie kind of goes off the rails from here. There are scenes with Hyp3r and Mephisto where they talk about corrupting innocent people, and it honestly just makes me miss the first film. Anyway, before Harold's quote-unquote date with his friend, he finds his aunt being attacked by some possessed person or zombie. The zombie pukes all over the aunt and then chases after Harold. He gets knocked out after he stumbles down the stairs. Harold is eventually awoken by his aunt, who is now possessed. A possessed person is also attacking Julie. They kidnap her and taunt Harold to let them take him to Hyp3r. He eventually dons some makeshift armor to defend himself, and somehow manages to stop his possessed aunt and the possessed man. He eventually finds where Julie was taken and attempts to save her. The possessed people mistake him for the Intercessor. He rips off his arm brace, ditches the crutch, and fights off the demons. Does he save the girl? Honestly, I can't remember, and I'm not rewatching the movie. Look, I'm not a fan of Intercessor, Another Rock and Roll Nightmare. It's just too much and too confusing. Again, it really does remind me a lot of Thanksgiving 3. The movie throws a lot of stuff at the wall to see what will stick, while completely screwing up Rock and Roll Nightmare's legacy. While the back of the box states that Intercessor, Another Rock and Roll Nightmare is non-stop excitement and laughter in the spirit of the original film, it just isn't. There's too much focus on the evil minions, and with their poor costume design, it's just not as fun as the original. Speaking of bad costumes, the Intercessor mask is obviously foam, as opposed to metal, since it looks like metal. The mask bends when Thor tries to put it on, and I only bring that up because it doesn't look great. One thing I will say is that I do love Jon Mikl Thor in this movie. In fact, he's honestly the best part of both films. But everything else is just, not good. The effects look terrible in this film. I mean, the movies went from practical effects in the first film to digital, so there was always going to be an obvious dip in quality. Speaking of dip in quality, the movie's audio and character dialogue often compete with one another, so it leads to a bit of an indiscernible mess. Aside from Thor, I'm having trouble giving this movie any compliments. I will say though that there are some funny aspects of the movie. For instance, when Intercessor fights off the elemental demonesses, there's a dog that attacks the little girl Laura. They overdub the dog with snarls and whatnot, but the dog is obviously very happy to be there. And he's just an all-around good boy. The fighting itself is just as goofy as it was in Rock and Roll Nightmare. Thor blocks digital effects, attacks tree branches, and delivers cheesy one-liners. Now, here's the real question. Does Intercessor have a twist ending that rivals Rock and Roll Nightmare's twist? No. No, it doesn't. Thor eventually beats all the witches, demons, etc., and the day is saved. That's it. At the end of the day, I'm guessing Jon Mikl Thor made this sequel for the fans of Rock and Roll Nightmare. So I hope you're happy. No, I'm just kidding. This is a bad film that you really need to be in the right mood for. It's not great, but there are some funny lines / weird things in there that made me laugh. Realistically, I would have been okay if Rock and Roll Nightmare remained the only film in the series. My recommendation, if you liked Rock and Roll Nightmare, give this one a watch to see how the story continues if you're in the mood for something really bad. Otherwise, just pass on this one. I definitely wasn't in the mood to watch it, so that's why my opinion on it is so low. It's a goofy film, but I just didn't enjoy it overall.